You guys been good? What?
Yeah.
I was asking, you been down to Jorgensen's place pheasant hunting or anything, Kevin? I don't know if you've been.
I haven't been pheasant hunting up there, no, but yeah, been out there. I've seen all their new they remodeled all that. Yeah. They redid all their big barn, their facility. So. Yeah, that's cool. So
It was.
Nathan, how's it been going out where you're at? How's the Southwest Kansas?
Busy like normal. So.
Yeah, I hear you. What's your brother been doing?
Oh, this and that. Same.
Yeah. Same stuff.
Crying about his Chiefs.
Oh, geez. We're horrible right now, aren't we?
Bad deal.
Yeah, we can't beat anybody good. I don't talking to some of my buddies, maybe we'll make the playoffs. I think we will.
I give it a 50-50 shot right now.
That's what I say. I'm with you. I don't know. We haven't beat anybody good.
Nope.
No. I was telling Jordan, so I had a chance. Jordan, you can put this in the report. I don't care. So when I was younger, I worked for the NFL and got to travel around, do camps, clinics, combines. Then when I moved Chicago, a couple of my buddies played poker with Michael Jordan, and everything. And I just always remember them all talking about how it was a lot easier. And I shouldn't say easy, but it was a lot easier for him to get to the top than it was for him to stay on top, And I told Jordan, I said, I kind of feel bad for Mahomes and some of them. And Andy Reid's loose, he's loosey goosey. He's a player's coach, and this isn't anything I wouldn't tell anybody. And I've met people who were more Belichick like, or Lou Holtz like, or Bobby Knight like. And then there's guys, like Reid, who lets the guys do whatever they want and kind of run a little loose ship. And I told Jordan, if you look at Mahomes when he first came into the league, and just like us with our businesses of farming, you first come in, hell, you can devote all your time, attention, everything to watching game film, breaking it down. You're in the weight room, you're doing all this jazz and that. And hell, he inks a $500 million contract. He buys part of the Royals. He's got all kinds of investments. I know he's building a new house out here by us. Yeah, he's building some new house out here, not too far from where we're at, on like some acres. He's doing all kinds of commercials. And I told Jordan, I'm just like, your head just gets filled with a lot of distractions and a lot of things. And man, it's just, the more money you get, as you guys know, more problems, more headaches. It's just shit. You just don't have the time to stay as focused, And our whole team kind of looks like, hey, stupid penalties, offsides here, holding here. It's just sloppy and mistakes they might not have made when they were younger and more focused. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can get it back, because I think Reid's just going to let him be like, he's just, don't feel the pressure. Just go out there and play. Well, shit. Somebody's going to have to get on someone's ass here before too long. I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot of those people snap right back. Most of the guys I was around that had won many World Series or Super Bowls, they were extreme disciplinarians, and they were just, it's like Brady. Look at Brady. That guy eats like he's a freaking scientist and works out still like a psycho. And I don't know. I think that's what it takes. And Kelsey and Hill and Mahomes are, I don't know if you can rest on your talent alone and win consistently. Let's put it that way. Year after year.
Not in the NFL.
Not in the NFL. Not at the top. Not at the top. So, like I said, hopefully they can get it figured out. But I know how hard it is, for people to stay up there and stay consistent. And especially when you come into a lot of money and things, and a lot more headaches and problems. So hopefully they'll figure it out. But I guess we'll see. We shall see. Yeah. Oh, looky there. Nice background.
Should I do that or not?
I like it. Yeah, that's cool. Hell yeah. So
if they haven't got a kick in the ass yet, I don't know what's going to make them do it at this point in the year, though.
No, I agree. I thought they would after they lost a couple. I was like, well, maybe losing a couple will help them out and get focused. Man, I thought Mahomes looked worse last week. Just more. I don't know. Maybe he's just off a little. So we shall see. Let's roll it, Jordan.
Yeah, I say let's get going. Jordan's supposed to be on here, and then I don't know if you guys know a guy named Stacy Davies, I think, or something like that. Stacy Daves. He does beef for Chipotle, but guess he didn't make it on either.
Oh, hey.
Oh well, we'll go on without him.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nathan and Justin have both been seeing our webinars. Next generation agronomy, just because we're talking about making the changes on the farm for the next generation. I say we kind of just jump right into it. I mean, we're row crop guys. You guys probably know a lot more about cattle than we do, but I guess what are some changes you guys have been making with your operation the last few years with everything going down with sustainability, greenhouse gas emissions, all that stuff happening in cattle?
Hey, Nathan, go first and introduce yourself and tell everyone where you guys are at and what you do. And same with you, Justin, when you're up. So go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan Kells. We're here in Southwest Kansas, south of Garden City. My brother and I are partners here in our operation. We really have two sides. One, the farm side, which we've always had. We farm about 10,000 acres now, but that is all directed towards our dairy heifer operation that we have, Circle Bar Heifer Ranch, which we currently raise about 27,000 of replacement dairy heifers. So we made that switch to the dairy heifer operation back in '98, knowing that the row crop side of things was pretty bleak. And with our water situation dropping here as far as what we can pump, just no water available, it was the right move for us at the time and still is. So everything now is focused growing, for our own operation. We probably grow about 80% roughly of what we need as far as the feed stuff go on the farm side. We run the businesses separate as much as we can. There's always some cross labor at times, especially during harvest. Manure out here in our region is probably our biggest battle right now, just because of where we're located and the livestock density within 15 miles of here. With these fertilizer prices going crazy, it's going to be a little bit easier here for a while to get rid of it. But there were yards in the area paying people to take your manure. So that's kind of what we delved into, is buying our own trucks and spreaders that we can spread everything we have, and then offering some deals to very close neighbors to be able to get rid of our manure. I can't say that we've been directly affected by any of the sustainability issues coming down. We've had some talks with some of our customers that are a little closer, to the end. And, those companies are looking for, a name and a story to be able to put with products. So we think we might feel some more pressure in the future as far as on the livestock side to maybe do some more, I should have say, like putting up shades, for example, in the pens where, economically it doesn't pay, but there is some benefit there. And it, eventually, you may be kind of pushed in that direction by the end consumer and what those in between are telling you to do.
Perfect. Justin, go ahead.
Justin Ohlde, we're a dairy in north central Kansas, southeast Nebraska. Probably like a lot of people have been on here, third generation on this facility, been farming since ancestors came over from Germany, 5-6 generations ago. Grandpa started with 3 cows, it was 4-H project, grew into it. Now 3 brothers involved. We milk on 2 sites, like I said, one in Kansas, one in Nebraska. We've got a heifer yard where we do our own heifers, and then another dairy. We're about 3,000 head down there. We milk about 3,200 cows in total right now. Farming wise, we cover about 3,000 acres and about 3,500 acres. And then, I think that's probably about an outlay of where we're at. Kind of like Nathan was talking about, I don't know that we've hit I would almost say we got hit with animal welfare stuff what, in the last 10 years, maybe, and then since it's kind of gone climate, I mean, we've done some things, animal welfare care. We do audits. We have, all of our guys take, training, and we document all that kind of stuff. Going through all those, I don't know if hoops you want to call it, but checking all the boxes off, make sure everybody's trained, consumers comfortable with where we're at on that stuff. So yeah, on the actual climate part of it, from the farming standpoint, we've no-tilled since mid 90s probably. We've done cover crops for probably 10 years now. I think the manure is fantastic as far as what you can do with yields, and I think health of the soil and so on and so forth. And it kind of like he alluded to too, now fertilizer prices continuing to go up, that manure becomes pretty valuable. We can throw 200-300 pounds of N on an acre, drag line and some different things. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, but also it's just kind of confusing as far as what are the rules, what's the game we're playing, what defines what. So there's just so many questions. I know I've heard you guys talk about this on prior ones. What's the definitions? And I think if we can kind of drill in on what exactly, how we're measured, I think we can do a lot of good things. But until then, you're just kind of looking at, I don't know what Nathan had to say about this, but kind of looking from the sideline, like, well, yeah, I kind of want to do that, or I kind of want to do that, but you don't want to jump into anything too soon or in the wrong direction or whatever. So
Yeah, I agree. What now you guys, I've heard some people anyway doing some pretty bigger deals, even out in Kansas and some other places, with the dairies and piping the manure, or running the manure to other farms and off into other areas. You guys do any of that, or just use most of it yourself? Nathan, you?
Like I said, we're spreading our dry. We don't have anything liquid here. Ours is a dry lot without the dairy washing or anything. So everything we do is dry. Typical, with as much or as dry as it is typically year round, we can just haul right out direct out of the pen and spread. So we've been able to utilize neighbors, to be able to utilize it like that.
Todd, what's Prairie Foods doing? Aren't they doing something like that?
Yeah, they're down your way. Nathan and Pratt. Oh, Pratt's getting that down way, isn't it? Pratt, Kansas.
Yeah.
So they're taking manures. I mean, their business model is going to be to set up within 50 miles of these places and take it, process it with their technology, and dump it on as prairie food, which is basically straight carbon. So they'll be up and running here soon. I think they'll be able to help you with potentially manure issues.
I think Nathan's saying you got too much manure in their area. They're manure heavy.
No, that's what I mean. They can take it all. They might be able to buy. I don't know how it's going to work out, but there may be a place to dump it here in the near future.
Interesting.
we're looking at a couple of, just from a methane standpoint, the digesters in the past, they always kind of been for electricity, power, so on and so forth. I know a lot of guys now are putting them in as far as using the methane, and I think they're putting in the natural gas line just almost as a direct natural gas source. So I don't understand it all. I know California's got some carbon credits or green credits or something like that, and that's kind of getting a lot of infrastructure built. In the dairy industry, the thing is, like where Nathan's at, everything's open lot. That works better on a confined, on concrete, in a building type situation. So
what type of pressure you guys think you're going to see in the dairy industry from, I guess, outside other, like this big rally in oats? There's, because everybody's interested in the oat milk and the different types of products that are going to maybe take some market share from dairy. What do you guys see? Yeah, what do you think, Justin?
it's actually already taken a pretty good bite. From the market standpoint, fluid production has gone down. Sorry, consumption has gone down since probably the 60s, maybe, but it's kind of been made up in cheese consumption. So people are eating dairy, they're not drinking dairy generally. And then the soy milks, oat milks, that's definitely cut into the fluid market. It was noticeable going into 2020. It's hard to see where anything's actually at right now. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that's probably going to change going forward, but I actually had a discussion this morning. It's like, do we become a fertilizer slash natural gas plant, quote unquote, and the milk's almost secondary? I mean, can we put enough in from a green standpoint or from a fuel standpoint? Is that more of the play in the next 10 to 20 years? I don't know. I just kind of asking a question. So.
I don't know. Nathan, you seeing a shift in where you guys are getting most of where are you feeding mostly to? Out of the country? Or are you up in Wisconsin? Where you doing most-
Wisconsin, Kansas, and now we had a shift to the east out of Georgia. Actually, have a very large producer there now, which is only about 100 miles further than Wisconsin is. So we've kind of those are the main regions where we're focused at now. Just from our standpoint, you just continue to see the consolidation in the industry. Don't see that changing. I think we're going to continue that way. Losing some of the the 100 to 500 cow dairies for sure are going to be a thing of the past. Interesting talk with some other people that are looking to expand. They already have a location or two. A lot of interest continue, I think, in the future, the robotic dairies, to take care of the labor issues. But back, I guess, on the question of more of the other type of quote unquote milks taking market share. I don't know. I think I'm cautiously optimistic that this is somewhat of a fad. I don't think it's going to go away, but I don't know that we're going to see the growth that we've seen over the past 5 years. Maybe that's being too optimistic, but kind of seems like there's been and I don't know if it was on your report that I read or not, with the fake meats kind of hitting the wall here a little bit with their growth and some of that. So maybe we're starting to pull back from that growth just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think
Jordan, you tell.
Yeah, I don't think the
What-
trajectory is near as high on the adoption rate side of things on that stuff, but I do think it's going to slowly continue to grow. And I guess I don't really see like the people that are adopting the soy, the almond. I know the almond milk's huge now, the fake meat, all that. I mean, they continue to eat it, and it doesn't seem like there's any turning back on those sides of things. Going back to regular milk or regular beef or things like that. But I do see more and more people trying it. I wouldn't say they're like overly obsessed with it, but they are eating it. So, or drinking it, which it's a huge, like some of that stuff they're using in a lot of the companies on the milk, like the soy milk or things like that, oat milk. I know Starbucks, they charge like a huge premium for that oat milk. Not sure why. It's probably cheaper to produce, I would imagine. Just another marketing tool. So
Yeah, I don't, where's your guys' stance on, I don't see that changing. I know Nathan said he's optimistic, but I don't know. I've tried to quiz all these kids when I see them order that, or I see them order the fake meat or the oat milk or this or that. And it's the same response from every single one of them. It isn't, I've said it before, it isn't necessarily save the planet. They think there's this big myth about animal cruelty, and they think they're like saving a cow. And, you see TikToks of these cow doing the, and then the kid's like, oh, see, the cow's got emotions. They have feelings too. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm telling you, that shit is not going away. It doesn't feel like. I feel like it's getting bigger and even bigger. And that's where I'm like, I don't know where the hell that parade ends. What do you guys, how do you guys see, you see the big push that direction, I'm sure, at least you hear it or read it. What do you think?
I think you're right. I don't think it's going away. I hope the growth slows down. At some point, they're going to run into, there's a couple things. You talk about water on dairies. It's like, well, you want to know what almond milk does for water to California? How much water they export, and so on and so forth. Do you get into a spot where a company's pushing for margins and, cut some corners, or, I don't know. you know, in the US, it's probably, yeah, I'm a little bit worried once they get hooked that they kind of stay there. I mean, I'll argue all day from a nutritional standpoint, you get nothing out of it, but that's not what they're looking at, to Kevin's point. So
Yeah.
I do think there's some growth, but it's probably more internationally. And then, you know, those people that are going to go that direction, I don't know what exactly we're going to do. The one thing right now, and that might change, is, you know, like cheese, nobody can make a cheese that's worth a damn. That's not made out of milk. So, and then, you know, from a protein standpoint, non-fats and so on and so forth, that's a pretty good protein you can put anywhere in the world. So
It's
Hey, Justin or Nathan.
it's
you
probably
guys-
like, no, Todd, I was just gonna say, it's like everything else. I mean, 7, 8 years ago, when I was talking to the ethanol industry and talking about electric, and remember how much shit I caught on that. And, you know, and I was heavily invested in ethanol. And I just said, I see where this is going. I mean, there's no question in my mind. And how do we get there? Like everything in life, gradually, then all at once. You know, it's how'd you get old? Gradually and all at once. How'd you get in debt? Gradually, and then shit, you woke up one day and hell, you got to file bankruptcy. I mean, it's just like everything. And I think that's probably where we go with this. It'll continue to tick along. And then one day we're going to be like, how in the hell did we end up here? And I don't know. Like I said, I don't see it slowing down or changing a whole lot as our disconnect with the farm continues to grow and grow. And to give you guys an idea where it really, I mean, just everywhere I turn, it's the same damn thing. And Todd sent me in a story on how hunting is changing a lot, and I'm running it tomorrow. And I was laughing because I didn't laugh. It's kind of sad because it said as the boomers got to age 70, they really drop off on going out hunting, you know, once they kind of hit 70 or whatever. And the number of permits across the US to just, you know, we were at like 225 million people in 1980. Now we're at like 333 million. But the number of hunting permits is, you know, way down from where it was. And it's just like everything else. I mean, you know, we all used to hunt and everything. It was like a family bonding experience, and it still is. But as those, that's the way I view it. I mean, as those threads are torn and pulled away, that's where we get this huge disconnect all across America. And I see it in food as well. I mean, as more and more people, like I said to you, there was one study done where I think in the 80s, any kid in any elementary school could touch someone in their class that could take him to a farm, tell him about a farm, had a friend or dad that worked on a farm all across the United States. Now that's simply not the case. I mean, people have no idea about a farm. And, you know, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, but it's just crazy to see it across everything from hunting to food to just everything. And it seems like as we get older and older, our generation who did those things that way, and we get the more of the disconnect, I guess it's just going to change everything. It's going to change all the way across the board. I mean, Todd, do you agree?
You're muted up.
I don't see that change. I don't see how it can, but it makes me wonder. First, I was going to ask you guys on the cheese plant that isn't that one going in Nebraska or out in your area, Nathan?
Yeah, in Dodge City, there's supposed to be one coming in Dodge.
Well, there might be one going in Nebraska too, but I mean, are those guys, is that an opportunity for you guys, or can you guys get together and make your own cheese plant? I don't know how big these things are, but I mean, what else can you guys do, you know, for creating enterprises within that, you know, make your own ice cream? I mean, what is there to do besides wait and waste away?
Yeah, Justin might be better on this than me, but you know, those are pretty big plans, pretty big dollar, obviously investment. I think the one here in Garden was like, oh God, I want to say 300 million, you know, for the dry plant. So, you know, it gets pretty rough to just do a, you know, 1 or 2 guy thing. It would have to be pretty big. You know, I agree with Kevin as far as, you know, on the social media part of things and thinking that you're saving a cow or whatnot by ordering the almond milk. You know, that's going to be the biggest challenge. Like I said, it's not going to get any easier. I know that really should be our number one thing, is trying to connect with consumers and being out there. And so, you know, I'm pretty involved in Farm Bureau and trying to encourage that side of things anytime that I can. But as far as the opportunities just from a yard like ours, we have a lot of opportunity already, so we're not really looking for any more. And a lot of the big dairies out here that will be going, or maybe to be built for that cheese plant, we're not really looking to expand. We've kind of maxed out what we feel we can do right here, which is a good problem to have, I guess, that you have additional customers wanting to come, and we just can't accommodate them. So that's always a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the main question, like Todd said, what do you think, you guys, I know both of you, good family guy, what do you think is going to be around for your kids or their kids? That's the one that always gets in I'm like, man, I don't know. What do you guys think? Justin?
Trying to figure that out. I mean, I always go back to, basically I think as farmers, we harvest sunlight and water, right? I mean, you turn it into corn, you turn it into milk, you turn it into something else. With all this lab stuff, everything else going on, it's got to come from somewhere. So, I mean, you can't just make something out of nothing. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure where that goes. I don't think the dairy industry goes away. I think it definitely could have some changes. To Nathan's point, yeah, it's extremely hard. Maybe somebody can, but most of us, you can't compete in the cheese making side of it because it's just too competitive. So there's got to be possibly another avenue there, another window there. Maybe with more of this eat at home stuff, maybe with more of this electronic stuff, Zoom stuff. We can do virtual everything. Maybe we can get people connected to the farm a little bit better that way, and maybe kind of go back from the bigger side of things. One thing I've learned is people always say they want something, but then when it comes down to dollars, they never want to pay for it, or rarely want to pay for it. It's kind of been my experience. So, but that's one reason I like reading your report and everything. I like getting somebody else's perspective, because I kind of say tongue in cheek, we work with animals because we don't want to work with people. So we live out here in the middle of nowhere. We don't really have any gauge on what's going on in Kansas City. It's like, just leave us the hell alone and let us do our job, right? But that's not, when you're trying to read trends and customers and everything, it doesn't get you very far. So,
Hey, Justin,
No.
that's a great mentality to have going into trying to connect with your clientele right there. I'm sorry, I couldn't pass on that.
No, yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the toughest obstacles, though. It's like you're in a business that is consumer driven and consumer based, but for all of us, Jordan's always telling me, Dad, go back behind your gate. That's where you like it more, back behind the gate, and you don't have to deal with anyone. I'm like, I love it. But yeah, it's tough to get a good read. That's why we really liked when we did that initial investment with iSelect, and they continue to run new company and new consumer data and trends across our table, which I told Jordan, I said, hell, it just keeps us kind of in the loop, and keeps us in the mix. And so that's, I had that talk with Todd when I saw him last time, my wife. I said, I don't think I've ever made a damn penny off a lot of some of these outside investments I've ever done. But a guy told me one time, he said, you belong to any country clubs? And I said, hell no, I don't belong to any country clubs. And he said, well, look at it like you're belonging to some country clubs when you write some checks, these capital call checks, and throw some money at these things. He's like, you get to meet a lot of people that tell a lot of different perspective, and maybe that'll help you with other stuff. Okay. I feel a lot better now when I have my wife write those checks every other month, it seems like. So, but no, you're right, Justin. It's hard to get a good gauge on consumer trends and where things are going. And, I love talking to you guys, and then I'll go over and talk with Benson Hills and the really high tech folks. And, they're telling me another shift or dynamic. And I think it's going to be interesting how things play out with animal feed. It seems like there's some big adjustments that we're seeing, at least come across my desk, on people trying to change the animal feed side of things, whether it's from aqua, how they're feeding the salmon, or to how they're feeding dairy. And I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, just because so much of our consumption and demand on the row crop side is, number 2 yellow corn, or whether it's traditional meal or something like that. If they make any decent sizable changes, I think that there could be some plays there for some premium or some for some benefits for sure.
Even
Don't you
on
think,
the-
Jordan?
Yeah, even on like the blockchain type of stuff, I think that's coming down the pipe in the livestock industry. I think they're even going to get down to even like on the feed. Like if you're not feeding your cows organic corn or organic any type of feed, that it's not going to be an organic, not going to be an organic beef or organic milk or however, any type of those things. Have you guys seen anything like that? Like feeding the cows organic and then marketing it as organic milk or beef?
Yeah, one of our customers switched about 2 years ago, I think it was, to non-GMO feed, so they could, call it organic, organically deal. Now, how far down the change that goes, it didn't quite make it here yet, but yeah, that was a change that they made because of that end, the marketing on the end user. Right or wrong, they've done it, let me say it this way, it wasn't, they were kind of fearful of it as switching to that, but it seems like the transition has gone smoother than they expected as far as procuring the feed and getting the farm switch to grow it.
And Jordan, we've got a couple of clients that they made that switch, reduced their herd size quite a bit. They went to non-GMO feed, and but then they were able to go direct and pitch it to us. So, I mean, I can't remember who the hell they pitched it to. I don't know whether it's a Whole Foods or a Chipotle type, some type of, business like that, where they went direct. And I'm pretty sure they reduced their herd by damn near a third or 2/3, and said they were making more money finally on the profit side of it. But yeah, that's scary. I mean, I'm with Justin. Those are some scary moves there, but I don't know. I mean, I think that's interesting. So, like I said, we had heard too in the last 5 years, more people being selected. I've seen more people calling and talking about moving closer, moving and buying pasture ground, like I said, closer to the urban areas and some things to try and go direct, whether it was with the beef side, or I haven't seen or heard any dairy operations make that play, but I guess I could see that being something, I guess. I mean, who knows? So
I think something that always wrestles in our mind too, you guys are talking about organic, and there's what people have pictured in their heads, and then there's what it actually consists of. And, we talked about, being humane and treating animals well and everything else. And it's just like, and we're getting better, and we're trying to cut antibiotics out, so on and so forth. But it's like, well, if I got a sick cow, I want to treat her. Like, if she's organic, that prevents you from doing that. And I don't know that people always necessarily kind of think through all the steps of that stuff. It's like, is there, using less is good. Have we used too much in the past, as an industry? Yeah. Can we get better? Yes. Does it force us to do that? I think so. But, it's just like, if you got a kid, got an infection or something like that, I mean, you take them to the doctor and you get them treated, and it's just like, and then you're kind of told to do something else with your animal. So I don't know, it's always a little bit of conflicting of what's the actual, what it is and what people perceive it to be. So.
well, yeah, it's like non-pasteurized milk. I mean, dangerous. Like, gets a little crazy. I mean, I hear you. And like I said, I love whenever I go out with any of my producers and we go out to eat or anything, and I say it all the time. And, if we end up at a fancy steak joint and they bring out the three, you can have this grass-fed organic, or this is just your regular USDA. Everybody takes, no, I want the one with all the shots and all the shit in it. That's the one I'm taking. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, all the producers and everyone who's right there, they say the same as you, Justin. It's like, I mean, nobody wants to hurt their animals. Nobody wants to do anything bad to their animals. Nobody's out trying to jack up their operation or their business. I mean, that's even Lucy at Cargill, Lucy Setzer, her granddad owned Cargill. And she's like, she hears it constantly, all this animal abuse problems. And she's like, we go all over. She's like, I've been everywhere. I've looked at every, all these operations in the United States. And she's like, I don't ever see anywhere the cattle or the animals are treated poorly. I mean, it would be in no one's best interest. I'm not saying there aren't some isolated instances in some places, but I've never come across, I've never seen anything. So I don't know. It's crazy information that spreads. So I don't know how we battle it. I don't know.
And we got to learn a little bit too. Like we had all of our, we've got about 80 employees now. And I mentioned earlier, they got to go through all this training, and this is how you treat animals. And, it's good for everybody to go through it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but so we did it all. And then we had our audit, and this is just a, farm kid thing, right? It's like, well, did you do it? Yeah. It's like, well, we didn't have the roll call sheet done right. Right. So it's like, what does it freaking make a difference? Like we taught them, but that's just something that we got, I think in ag, especially, like when I was younger, dad's like, well, damn it, just go do it, or, figure it out. But, kind of documenting all this stuff. And it's just not something we're necessarily used to. So I don't know, just a small example, but.
How important do you think that documentation stuff going to be moving forward, or how much they're going to pressure other farms to do it? Like, I think
you're not going to be able to produce without it before too long.
Yeah,
I don't think, generally. And it's really not that big a deal. That stuff we should be teaching them anyway. So,
yeah. Jordan and I are of the belief, and we're trying to push our investment dollars towards these people who are, I guess, on the forefront of blockchaining agriculture, blockchaining, moving, and all blockchain, like I said before, it's just a ledger, a database that's online, and validity can be seen by anyone. I mean, if there's a dairy problem, or we get, you get a truck that it's full of bad milk or something, you can pinpoint it just to a gnat's ass, just boom. And I think we have that already with most operators, but it's just fragmented. Everyone's kind of got their own plan, their own program. I think eventually that gets all standardized out, like you were saying, with all the documentations across all the lines, and including what's been fed, how many shots, everything that's in the cow, which cow, you could pinpoint exactly to where it came. And I see that. I see us going that direction. So I don't know how soon we get there, but like Justin says, I think we're going there for sure.
Are you guys,
honestly,
you guys using any of those like ear tags, those electronic ear tags that track them all?
Well, that's just what I was going to say. We're honestly already doing that. We've got the EID tags in them. We're wanting them. And that's one thing I think in the dairy industry, we're usually, because we work with them closer all the time. I mean, we just do more stuff than the beef guys. And that's not a knock or anything. That's just an observation. But yeah, I mean, I can run downstairs here right now. I can pull up cow that's in the front of the barn here. I can tell you when she calved. I can tell you when we bred her. I can tell you how many times she's been treated, how much milk she's given. If there's any issues, I can go through. I have all of that right now. It's just, the blockchain part of it would just be kind of tying that. And then how do you go to the consumer with that, and what kind of value or what do you want to show, so.
Yep, I agree.
What's like,
so
what would be stopping you from tying that into a blockchain, and as easy as giving the cow a name and pitching it to one of those end users? I mean, I think that's what kind of a lot of these people are looking for. I mean, if you already got all that in place.
I don't know how that works practically. So like right now, most of our Kansas milk, we sell to DFA, which is a co-op, they market our milk for us. Well, the majority of our milk's going to Kansas City. So if you guys are drinking milk in Kansas City, you're drinking our milk. But you go in there and those silos hold, I don't know, 10, 15 loads of milk, right? So ours is going in there, but so is everybody else's. Getting an individual cow's milk packaged or delivered, and that's all doable, but it's inefficient, expensive, and you want to go back to the whole green thing. It's like you're kind of going backwards, I think, on the carbon deal, kind of sorting that all out. So I don't know if it's something we want to do individually or as an industry. I don't know. I really don't.
And like, what's keeping you from, like, I guess, like contacting like that Chateau milk, that those people that already charge like an arm and a leg for their milk?
They've done a really good job. They're in a good situation. I mean, they're smaller. Their supply is good for the Kansas City area, right? I mean, there's a lot of people. They don't have a whole lot of milk per se necessarily. I don't know. I guess just haven't really thought of it.
do they have certain producers they're working with, or do they just buying it from like where you're selling it and then just marketing it better?
No, they've got a, unless something's changed, that's their own milk. I mean, they produce it and bottle it and sell it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
But yeah, that last I knew.
Yeah, Jordan used to try and get us, Michelle and I, to buy him that chocolate milk, you know. I'm like,
Really good.
out of your mind. I ain't paying. Yeah, it's good. I'm like, I ain't paying up for that shit. I mean, you buy this regular cheap brand over here. Now, he's, you know, the bottles are cool and they're thick and everything. Like, damn, that is a premium too. So,
And
well,
the food market is just really, and maybe the beef market is kind of similar. It's just really hard to get with the rules and regs and everything else that are around it. It's just really, and you guys know more about that than I do, you know, getting on a store shelf and, you know, could you get a supply agreement with the Dillons or somebody like that? I mean, it takes a lot. So.
yeah. I think too, there's got to be some standardized platform, Jordan. Like eventually there'll be some standardized protocol or platform that will allow someone like Justin and them to go direct. I mean,
That's
right
what
now
I'm
it's just,
saying.
yeah, right now though, each end user, I mean, hell, how do you do? I'm with Justin. It's like, how is he supposed to get his information, put it on a usable blockchain type ledger that Dylan, yeah, like Dylan's going to use, or Price Shot, you know, or any of the big ones. I mean, because they're all different. It's like, there's no way. So it's like, I don't know, until that changes or shifts. I guess it will change or shift. That's what they're trying to tell us at Benson and some of the other bigger places. They see that coming eventually. Like, you know, these cows over here, this dairy is feeding, you know, this type of meal that's producing this type of, maybe it's a milk that maybe they're trying to say we can go as far as change the feed. And maybe all of a sudden you have people who are lactose intolerant that can now drink that milk by just simply the change in the feed. And then that would allow that milk to go to certain, you know, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much, but I guess if you start to get that where you can spin a gene and take something in or out, that maybe that does end up happening. So I think, I guess that's maybe where we end up. But we got to get more standardized, I think, where people can do that though. So makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Todd, do you have any question? Anybody write in?
No, the one thing I was going to ask, and we had between the Jorgensens and Ohldes, and you guys got multiple generations there. I was going to kind of get into the decision-making process because we got, you know, people listening that are in that multi-generational. How do you factor, how the decision-making process go? And, you know, is the younger folks getting to make decisions and help there? Cause I happened to watch some videos on some of the other guys and you saw that played out. And so forget about the dairy industry as a whole, but from a business standpoint for all the guys, what's Justin, for you guys, I mean, how important was how was the decision-making process when there's 3 generations out there working on the same place?
I was pretty fortunate. Family's unique or whatever, I guess. You know, grandpa handed over a lot of the decision making to dad when he was younger. Dad did the same thing with us. You know, I'm 38 now, and then been making the majority of the decisions probably for 15 years or something like that. You know, and it's very much appreciated because they kind of, you know, I mean, they're obviously still involved, but, you know, also kind of step back and realize like, hey, they want to get us involved. They want to get us moving. You know, if we don't do that, we're either not going to contribute or leave probably, I would say. But no, it's something our family talked about a lot. You know, I've got a 5-year-old girl now. My brother's got a 1-year-old. You know, so kind of something that's crazy. It seems like we're still trying to figure out this last generation, but you're trying to get the next one rolled in, and how do you get everything incorporated and everything like that. So no, a lot of communication and then trust on the elder generations on us. I mean, that's kind of how it works where I grew up. So, and I know that's not normal. So
No, that's good. So it wasn't a lot of battles when you had a new idea necessarily.
I don't think so. One thing about a dairy, you're busy enough too. If you're too tired to fight by the end of the day, so that probably helped a little bit.
And Nathan, you guys training the next generation. You've been around since 2000, correct?
Well, that's when you started the dairy.
Dairy
Heifer. Yeah, I'm fifth generation. We've been here since 1885.
Oh, well, okay. You guys done
So,
good.
They come from a little bit of cattle.
yeah,
Don't
so
you think?
so we were on the beef side of things, you know, up until the family started the dairy, and that's how we got into it. They've since out of that business, but that's how we got into the dairy deal. But I'm kind of the same situation with Justin. We were fortunate, I guess, to get the reins passed down very quickly. When I came back, bought my grandfather out. My brother came back, bought my dad out, and some of that has to do with some medical issues now. You know, so he's not even involved in the operation. So yeah, we're already looking and having some of those conversations with. You know, it was a lot different when we got in the operation to looking down the road 5-10 years. You know, bringing in, you know, son-in-law or others, or what are we going to do? So that's a whole different dynamic than what we had to face when I came back to the farm. Obviously we've grown from, you know, we had one employee when I came back to, like I said, over 55 now. So the size and the scope is just totally different. But one thing that was passed along to us that we still use, and I highly recommend, is, you know, getting a family mediator. We've been fortunate to have someone, whether you call them a business coach or a mediator or whatever it is, having that person there to kind of hold you accountable, getting some meetings, you know, set on the books. Always need to do more of it, it seems like, but that's every penny well worth spent that we've spent on that, and have more work to do for sure. Coming down, we just, like I said, starting to think about the next generation and starting to think about wanting to slow down ourselves a little bit. So what's that's going to look like? But trying to be proactive and, you know, attend the conferences and get the meetings done. So
I've actually, Todd, along those lines, I've actually had more friends than people in the business sell out. I mean, I shouldn't say sell out. They just had an exit strategy. Like you were saying, you bought the company from, or you bought out your grandpa's share, and Vance brought out your father's share, and you only had one employee at the time. Well, I mean, now the valuation is going to be massively more. And it's like, how do you exit? And I've listened to a couple of really sharp people that have sold recently in the last 5 years, and they, you know, they just had to powwow with the kids and said, is this where your heart and your passion lies? Is this really what you want to do? And they actually had a big exit. I mean, sold for some huge valuation, and then gave the kids the money basically to back them on a business that they wanted to do, whether it was in, some of them went into real estate, some of them went into some other things, and they've done pretty darn well. I mean, it looks like they're going to get things built, and they're probably going to be off to a good career and a good start. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with an exit strategy for a lot of folks. You know, I think you got to consider all of those tools and options. Todd, we talked about that the other day. I mean, if you don't have a plan, or you're not going to pivot massively, or you're not going to really be out ahead of a lot of those consumer trends or changes that may impact, or government changes, you nothing wrong with an exit. I mean, bank the money and they'll tell the kids, you know, start the next thing. I mean, if you look through history, there aren't very many businesses that have ever made it 4 and 5 generations. They just aren't. I mean, it is like an anomaly. It's really odd for that to happen. But I think, you know, in farming, probably more than any, it has happened. So, but at some point in time, that probably comes to an end for a lot of folks. But I don't know. So it's definitely a good question, Todd. I mean, especially in the way we're turning as rapidly as we're changing. So, Jordan, what else we have?
I was just gonna ask them a little bit on, like, you guys seeing labor issues out in where you're at? I mean, you got 55, and then I think you said you got 80. I mean, obviously you guys got to employ a lot more people than the row crop side of things, but how is it getting employees out there, or keeping them?
it's you know, always a struggle. You know, always, you know, in the past, our top 2 is water and employees, and pick your order. We have utilized the H2A. been very successful, just word of mouth with some German guys out of Mexico, to be honest, and they bring their families, which is not typical H2A side of things. But yeah, just going out on the street trying to find somebody, extremely difficult. We're just like everywhere else in the country. Wages they're going through the roof. I've got my son's buddy and working in town, $18 the car wash. Some large packing plants offering $21 plus $3,000 signing bonus. Just advertised this week. So, the wages are definitely continue to rise out here, and just getting people to these rural areas is extremely difficult. So without the H2A, with the immigration labor that we have, I don't know, we would be downside. Wouldn't be doing what we're doing today for sure. We have ourselves proceeded to be able to make an application and get some guys with permanent workers cards. It's a long freaking ordeal, but we've had some success there. And these people want to be here. They love it. They have families. They don't want to have to go back and forth. So that's our hope, that we see some continued immigration policy change that makes it easier for these people to come in, or unfortunately, if they're already here, doing something about that. But yeah, definitely a challenge.
What are you saying, Justin? Say it.
Yeah, it's been tougher. And it goes back to employees, but our crew's done a really, really good job. You're looking at the guys, not real great on the labor side of it 10, 15 years ago. We've worked on culture and everything for the last decade. And I think we're seeing some of the dividends pay. Most of our guys have been around for quite a while. We've got a couple positions that turn faster. And they're harder jobs as well. But no, generally we've done pretty good. We've been short a couple times this summer. But all in all, honestly, navigated this whole thing pretty well. So, and I say I attribute that back to our team as far as, workplace environment and everything. So.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, we're seeing it. I think. Go ahead, Jordan.
So what do you think you're doing different now than what you were back then, 10 years ago? As far as the culture thing.
Besides everything. I think literally just kind of redid it. Just kind of look at some of the workplace, kind of how we approach things, the type of people we bring in. The training, I think, was a huge thing. I think until even a few years ago, we didn't realize, we thought we were training well, but we weren't. Just continually working with people, treat them well. That's also pretty simple, but we just try to pay a competitive wage and work with guys if we need to, but then also kind of have the standard too. I mean, with that many people around, it's like, no, this is what it is, and this is the rules, and you kind of adhered by it. Goes back to the Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick deal, right? I mean, you kind of got to be, you get kind of loosey goosey, and then that's kind of how everything gets. So you try to get, not militant, but the same way, you have some structure that everybody appreciates and respects. And you get those people in, and they bring in more people like them. I think it's probably a lot of it. So
I always tell Jordan, we have a tough time. I mean, even at ours. I mean, because when I grew up, I mean, it was pretty hard knocks. You come out, you work your ass off, you get a paycheck, and you didn't want to hear it. No, my dad didn't want to hear anything. My grandpa, nobody, nothing. Just there it is. There's your check. I mean, we'd go for hours and not say a word, just work. Jordan tells me, Jordan's like, Dad, people want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of a team. They want to be, they want. I said, I hear you, but I don't have time for that shit. And that's why we don't keep a lot of people. And that's why Jordan's like, Dad, this isn't going to work like this. And I hear you, but I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I'm exchanging my hard-earned money for their job. That's all they need. That I don't ask for all this other shit. I just want the work. And now Jordan's like, nah, we got to have these, we got to have these big events. We got to have barbecues and we got to go to concerts and we need to spend time together. And now everybody's got to get, I'm like, oh shit, you guys are killing me on this. So, but I'm with you. Jordan will tell you, I mean, everything we've done and read and studied. I mean, people want more than just a paycheck. I mean, it seems like anymore, especially if you're going to rely on them to trust them in any higher up types positions or things that are going to make decisions or anything like that. I mean, and it's just out here where we're at, it's tough. I mean, I just think it's hard to get the younger kids. Most of my younger kids I get out of college, if it isn't their third or fourth job, it's usually a revolving door. I mean, they'll come in and have a meltdown the first few times they give them some constructive criticism. Then it's not a real fun environment for them. And they say it's not fun. Okay, we'll go to the next job. I guess maybe it'll be fun. It's tough to compete though. On my end, look at my side. I mean, if on some of the, like the trading or think tanks type stuff, if I got to compete against Google and they got foosball tables and chefs and shit, and you get a personal day every time your dog goes down or something. I don't know. It's just hard to compete. So, and I know it's spilling over into everyone's space. So I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think wages are going to go higher. We're going to have to be a lot nicer. We're going to have have a better team environment, I guess. So I don't know. What do you guys think on these grain side? What do you guys, Kells, I remember you guys a long time back when you guys hedged out all that wheat. Remember when you guys sold that wheat several years when it got really high? When was that? 10 or 11? Didn't you guys sell like 2 or 3 years out?
We might have done some back then. I just kicking myself now for not selling this Milo earlier. I sold some of it, but didn't sell all of it. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the interesting thing is going to be these fertilizer and input costs and even availability of the stinking chemicals next year on this corn side of things. So I think it's going to be really hard to produce the corn bushels next year, and therefore, might support that corn price going forward for another year here. So
yeah.
I definitely see it on the farm side, actually trying to prepare, trying to get some fertilizer bought or some chemicals bought. It's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to more guys every day that they're kind of throwing out that 200 bushel number for maybe they start switching out acres, and I'm hearing a lot saying they're gonna by June there's gonna be fire sales. I'm like, boy, I hope you're right for your sake, but it'd definitely be interesting on the acre side.
How are the input costs affecting the dairy side for you guys? Since you guys grow all your own or most of your own feed, is it a huge impact or?
Yeah, the corn silage price, is probably the highest maybe we've ever had this fall. So that directly affects, how we run our operation. We have a flat price for every 6 months. It's renegotiated based on feed cost. We do the darndest to procure it the cheapest that we can, and we have a certain margin we try to maintain, and our price fluctuates up and down based on feed costs. So yeah, it's going to be a booger. We already jumped up this summer and going to have to jump again probably in January to maintain that which puts the squeeze on the dairy guys, down the road. But it's definitely going to be affecting dairy profitability, I would say as well.
Yeah. My 2 cents, if they matter, I don't think the acres get cut much, Todd. I mean, I've argued with you on this last couple of weeks. I mean, everybody says it. I've heard it a million times in my life through my career trading. And I'm going to tell you, here's my twist on it. You tell me when the banks are going to stop lending, and I'll tell you when the acres are going to stop going higher. This is the same thing that happened in the housing industry. It isn't the builders stop building. We didn't stop building until the banks quit loaning. Hell, I had buddies that 500 spec homes sitting, some of them 600, 700 spec homes sitting. Well, shit, the bank just keep loaning money. I mean, it wasn't until the banks quit loaning money did you stop seeing builders cut back and the building come to a halt. So I'm letting you know, if everybody out there saying we're going to have fewer corn acres and everyone's going to cut, Oh, I know producers. They're going to be saying, oh man, everyone's going to cut back corn acres. That means corn price is going to be sky high. I'm going to plant this corn. I'm planting corn. I'm telling you. And if the bank's going to loan, they're going to plant corn. Now, maybe if you can't get the chemical I will say this, I will suspect they plant the corn, or we all plant the corn, but they may not put as much on it. I mean, you may not throw as much fungicide at it. You may not throw as much, you may not side dress, or you could see a yield drag next year now. I mean, I don't doubt that could happen. But I don't know. I question the acre thing once it actually happens and goes in the ground. I hope like hell though, that talk of all that keeps insurance price up at least, or keeps some floor under it. If price drops and we got to battle this inputs, that's really going to get nuts. But like I said a million times over, and I was taught this from a lot of the older trade. I mean, we've traded corn below the cost of production a lot more than we traded it above the cost of production. We always got to remind ourselves that corn prices have been below break evens more than they've been above. I promise. If you go back through history and look, I mean, so I don't know. I think it's going to be tricky. The logistics side, like you guys are saying on the inputs, are going to be nuts. So I would tell people, I've told some guys recently, some guys locked a few things in just because I think you're going to have some rail shortages, and you're going to have some other shortages in certain locations that could jam some people up, because the ag retailer, in my opinion, quit housing so much supply over the last 8 to 10 years because they got smoked. And now they've got big lines of credit. They did have until these last 2 years, had big lines of credit extended out to everyone. I'd go in their warehouses where they used to have a ton of supply. Oh, they didn't have anything. And they're like, shit, we're basically a bank now. I mean, we're just bankrolling producers that are still, a couple, 2 years behind, and trying to catch up, getting a point a month on the money. So if they've got to order inventory and you've got everybody else coming online at the same time, whether it's through housing or automotive or whatever it may be, you're going to have a pinch on the rail. I mean, I guarantee that. And trucking, like you guys are seeing. I mean, I think we're going to continue to see that problem. That could put some folks in a bit of a pinch on inputs. So
what do we do when we lock it in and then it comes time that we need it and they don't have it?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a problem. You don't know. That can happen in areas, or depending on who you're doing business with. I mean, it's no different. We saw when wheat went sky high in 10 or 12, a lot of guys had sold their wheat, they thought, and then they went to deliver it and said, we're closed. We're out of business. Too bad. Now wheat prices are back down to nothing hardly. So it's like, I mean, you don't know. I mean, I guess it's going to be tricky. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think there's going to be some issues in some locations or places with certain things. So, and I don't foresee it. I mean, we traded crude to $85 today. I don't think it's going to break anytime soon. I mean, I know guys like Todd, you were saying, yeah, good luck. And, prices will be rock bottom. I don't think, anytime real soon. They don't have the spigots turned on. They don't logistically everything. No one's got that much supply on hand to accommodate. So I think we stay kind of elevated for a while. And you guys know how long, you guys know for a fact, the last time we ran corn to $6, how long did they keep prices elevated on us? A long time. They're not going to walk that back just because now actually there's a reason, and it's tight supply. And I don't think they walk it back aggressively anytime soon. So that's my 2 cents. But
Yeah, with all these constraints, it's just hard to see how it breaks. Yeah. And what happens if they have a cold winter? I mean, put that on top of all these energy constraints we're already having with what's going on in China and everything else. It's just hard to, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm worried about. So I don't know. I like the new crop prices at 530 corn, and you want to feather in a few sales, but it's like, I don't want to go too nuts here. I mean, when's the last time you had a chance to make your first few sales plus $5? Not very often in our lifetime, ever. So it's like, I don't care about where they say inputs are. I mean, we've had like 3 times in our life you could ever do that. I mean, not many, not with new crop 22. So, so I think you got to start somewhere, price something, especially even look at wheat. I mean, I'm looking at 23 wheat. That's why I was saying, Nathan, I remember a long time ago, and you guys did price some out pretty good. And I think, hell, I'm taking shots out in 23 on some things, but just see where we end up. Because I think you can bring wheat online so fast globally now. I mean, they're going to bring wheat online. I mean, they're going to bring wheat online, and they're going to plant the shit out of it in places, and it'll put a dent in some U.S. exports for sure, because the cheaper labor, cheaper everything in some of these other places on the wheat. So I like getting a little further out with the wheat if you can get it done. So makes sense.
New crop cash around here is, like I said, getting close to that 750. It's like,
Yeah,
probably better be locking some in.
yes. And I think there's going to be a lot more. I know people are saying there's guys not planting as much wheat, but I've seen a big uptick in wheat, guys running wheat and then trying to double crop beans behind it, whether it's through Illinois and the other place. I mean, that's been money maker these last couple of years. So I think we'll even see some more of that. So I think we're going to see a big uptick in wheat supply. And I don't think you're going to see a huge uptick in demand unless China just runs into some crazy weather problem or something even to that. I mean, it's going to take a big weather problem. But I don't know. I'm not seeing that in the cards. So we shall see. Jordan, that about it. We probably ran over.
All I got.
Hey,
All I got.
yeah, it's all good info. Todd, you got anything else?
I just want these guys to know that you did buy me pizza last Friday. So he just don't listen to all the stuff that he talks about.
Yeah. No, yeah. But Todd's old school. We can work Todd. He can do whatever, yeah. Too funny.
Appreciate your time, guys.
Look forward to seeing you guys in January. So hell yeah, maybe all this crazy COVID shit will be behind us. I hope so.
We hope. Yeah.
Good. Not,
Yes, sir.
no. Shit, I had another buddy I played ball with. He died last night. I'm like, damn, guys keep dying down here. So he was my age, 53, but I don't know. How's it up where you guys are? Not bad.
We've been having a few around here still. Had a neighbor had it pretty bad just down the road, so people are still getting it, but don't really know too many that have died. Mainly just get sick and have no energy, and glad they get over.
No, I hear you. I got that damn booster shot. It made me a little sick. The first one, I had nothing. I thought they gave me a blank in the arm. I asked Lee, I said, that I didn't feel anything. I mean, I wasn't nothing. Second one, maybe a little sore or something for a day or so in my arm. But the next one, the third, that booster that we went in and got Shona, she was whining the blues kind of the first night. And I said, quit being a baby, suck it up. And then the next day I was like, damn, I kind of feel, I felt a little flu-like or something. But hell, I don't know. What the hell? We're going to have to get one. A buddy of mine said he did all 3, didn't feel anything, never even got nothing. He went in and got a damn shingle shot because he's getting that age where you got to get these, he's like the shingle shot just dropped his ass for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Who knows? So crazy, no fun. So guess we'll see how it plays out. I think they're going to get stricter and stricter on the vaccine, though, don't you guys?
Well, this
that
anyways.
Yeah. What are you saying, Justin?
No, it's hard to see not. I mean, the rate that they pushed it, I'm surprised they pushed it this hard for this long, but
yeah, I got a buddy that's one of my friends, they're in the union, a couple different blue collar unions, and they're getting the heat now that they got to get it. And vaccine. And then one of my buddies, he's a carpet layer, and he's like, dude, you ain't gonna believe it. I mean, they're making them carpet layer, making them get it because I guess they do some bigger commercial jobs, so a lot of the bigger commercial people aren't letting them in the building if they're not vaccinated. So it's like, wow, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of gonna get nuts. We'll see. So
Yep.
all right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks again. All right.
Okay.
See you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.